Okay, today we're going to be learning to draw the common buzzard. Was extinct in Ireland and is making a comeback. Often mistaken for an eagle because of the way he looks when he's flying in the sky. He's a little bit smaller than an eagle and appears even in some of our songs. Like in the popular West Limerick song Shanna Golden, they talk about an eagle in the sky. And thankfully they're back in our skies again, so we're going to have a go at drawing them today. And we're going to use some common implements around the house to help us to get the shapes right. Okay, and to draw him you need a big spoon, a scissors, and something to draw with. Can be a pen, can be a pencil, whatever you have. If you have a little spoon as well, it can be helpful for getting the right shape and the lines again, like the other two implements of the scissors and a spoon. So you can start by putting the spoon at an angle. So the spoon is basically meant to reflect the shape of the head of the buzzard. Okay, so I used the small spoon there so you could get an idea. So the basic shape is egg-shaped. We had been working using post-it notes and little square grids to show us the proportion, but we're going to start using ovals now and circles in proportions. So as I said, start by putting the spoon at an angle. As you can see, this part of the large spoon will be where the nose will start. So we'll be able to mark it out nicely using these implements. So I'm going to start now. Okay. So next we're going to use a scissors. I wonder if any of you eagle-eyed or buzzard-eyed students can figure out what shape we're going to use this to make. Yeah, we're going to use it to make the eye. We're going to, just like we tilted the spoon, we're going to tilt the scissors as well to mark out the eye shape. So, thinking about there. So, as you can see, it's not halfway across the head, it's a little bit more to the front. And as we discussed when we were talking about the proportion differences between predators and prey animals, this animal is a predator. So it follows the prey. So its eyes are in the front of its head. Prey animals, they have a much wider vision and their eyes are on the side of their head so that they can see almost 360. So he's more towards the front, but he has a good bit of side vision and brilliant downward vision as well. Which we'll see if we look closer at the eye, we'll see what particular, I suppose, parts and functions he has in his eye that make him such a good predator. Okay, so I'm going to use this part of the spoon now to do the beak. So you just lay the spoon a little bit down further than the outline drawing. And draw your line as I have done there. Next we're going to do the other side of the beak. You can use the edge of the spoon if you want to, or you can draw freehand. But you can see that it had roughly come about there. And then you bring a line kind of straight out parallel to this line to finish out the beak. And then there's a sharp tip which they use. I'm going to get gory now, but this sharp tip is what they use for tearing at the guts of the prey. Now, here we're going to do a shape that you're familiar with from drawing nostrils of people and nostrils in animals. And I obviously this shape comes up again and again in nature. Comes up and drawing the hind legs of a rabbit or animals. It's that number 6 shape on its side, over on its belly. And it's about there, about halfway is down the beak. You have to do a kind of a comma shape or a 6 shape over on its side, which is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a air hole or something, or like a nostril equivalent on the bird. Okay, so next we're going to add some extra detail to the eye. I'm using the curved edge of the spoon, but you can use any curved edge that you think is roughly about the right size. So what I'm doing here is I'm just doing that where you can see there's a little kind of a line following kind of in parallel to that outer edge of the eye. So I'm just going to add that line now. Like so. It stops at the top because this kind of, for want of a better word, in the eyebrow area, comes over the eye. So a bit like in humans, you know, you don't see the top part of the eye. It's concealed by the lid or this eyebrow shape. Okay, so next I'm going to create the rounded eye shape. I'm using implements because it's just in case anybody hasn't got great pen or pencil control. It's just it helps you to get a nice edge. And sometimes people can get downhearted and think that they're bad at drawing because they can't control their hand well enough to draw a line. But that's only one part of drawing. So use whatever tools you need to help you to get just the basic outline right. And I know from working with you that you're very, very good with texture and mark making. So I wouldn't want you to feel defeated by not being able to make a nice smooth edged line. So that's why it's useful to use these items. You could use this to make the circle. You could draw around a pen. You could use the little, I don't know what the name for it, the little doohickey for hanging up items in the shop. Those holes can be used as well. But anything that's roughly, that you can see is roughly the right shape and size and proportion. So I'm going to, hopefully, this will work out as being roughly the right proportion. Okay, so that looks pretty good now. Okay, so I'm going to just tidy up and add a few extra lines to tidy up the drawing, for a little bit of freehand drawing now. So you can see here I'm trying to join this line onto the beak. So it joins there about that point of the beak, the start of where the beak begins in the head. So bring that line down there. I'm going to see this line here as well. You can see that that kind of extends a bit back. So if the bird needs that, it can open its mouth nice and wide. So I'm going to extend that line back to beyond, back and down beyond the length of the eye. But do it lightly. I'm using a pen, but you can still lean nice and lightly on it. So it goes down to about here, nice and light. We can add some dark areas later. And this bottom line here, bring that back a little bit as well. Okay, as you can see here, this top area here as well, this eyebrow area, extends beyond the eye and flicks up this direction as well. So we're just going to start a little bit over here. And continue and just flick up a little bit here. We'll be shading this in later. And if you're using a pen, you'll be creating shade by putting lines closer together and then lighter areas by spacing out your marks.